What's up, everyone? Today's video is a really powerful one because it's all about mistakes or errors. And this is a part of the game that plagues all of us, some of us more than others. But you know what? You're going to notice in today's match, even the best players in the world struggle with making errors. And errors could be tins, it could be from shot selection, it could be for a variety of reasons. And we're going to talk about all of that. The match we're going to check out highlights from is the semi-final of the recent World Tour Finals between Hami El Hamami from Egypt and Camille Serme from France. Now, I just want to put it out there. I did not deliberately select this match. I know most of my matches are analyzing men, and some might be thinking, why are you analyzing women when it's common mistakes? Truthfully, my 2-year-old daughter, who has recently taken a loving to squash, asked to watch some ladies play, and I wanted to analyze the match because I respect and admire both of these players. So that's why we are watching this. I want it to be clear that no matter what level we play at, whether you are a beginner, you are an advanced player, you are a pro, you are a world-class pro, everyone makes errors. No one is immune to making errors. And generally, when people make errors, it's because we're trying to hit the wrong shot when we're not in the right position. That could be because we're under pressure and we're trying to force it, or we're trying to do something that's more than we actually need to do. So, how often have you been in that position where you're in the perfect position to hit that straight drop, and at the last second you want to try to flick that ball and you end up hitting the tin, or you hit something high, or you're under pressure in the back corner and you try to rip a quick boast thinking that you're going to catch your opponent off guard and win the point, or the ball's behind you and you try to flick a cross court thinking that, oh, if I get that cross court, they're going to be thinking I'm hitting a straight drive and I'm going to beat them on the ball, and inevitably in each of those situations it works against you. That you're going to see that even these top pros make these mistakes. Now, one of the differences is that at lower levels, people make those mistakes a lot. The pros don't make them as often. And the pros have more abilities, whether it's because of strength, because of technique, or whatever reason. There are many. They have the ability to still execute shots from poor positions that most people would really struggle with. The pros can actually execute them fairly accurately most of the time. But what this video is going to show you is that even the top players, the best players in the world, are not immune to making those errors. And there are many factors that can affect error rate, but some of them, as you've noted on your screen, are fitness. And because maybe your fitness isn't high enough, you end up getting fatigued. And when you're fatigued, you're half a step slow. When you're half a step slow, your timing gets thrown off, and then your timing gets thrown off. And then you try to do something that's not really there, and well, you're in trouble at that point. It could come from boredom. When you have really long rallies, let's say you're playing a really patient player who's just rallying up and down one side wall. Well, you get bored and you want to change it. You might try to fire a boast. You might try to hit that cross when it's not really there, and that's when the loose ball or the error arises. The flip side of that is patience. We get bored, we can also lack patience, and that's when you make the same mistake. And when we get tired, when we're impatient, when we're bored, we lose our focus. And focus and presence are things that I talked about in my last video about mindfulness. These are things that we can train. So if you aren't already doing it, I highly recommend that you take up the practice. So without further ado, let's get into the highlights. We're going to check out several clips between the two ladies. Now watch over here. There's some pressure. The ball's pretty tight. And there's the cross that Hania tries hitting. She hits it right back in the middle of the court on Camille's racket. Camille does exactly the same thing, except Hania cannot finish it. So let's check that out really quickly. First rally, you're going to see Camille hit it. Hania's moving backwards, tries to hit the cross. It's in the mid-court. On the flip side, Camille tries to force the cross. And one thing I noticed with Camille's technique over here, check this out. When she finishes that cross, her racket is down, the wrist is broken, and she hasn't really followed through. When you flick, you generally still want to try to snap through the ball. Camille's kind of going like this and dropping her racket. That probably also led, from a technical perspective, to the loose ball over here. That Hania did the right thing by attacking, but her execution wasn't quite good enough, and then Camille kind of reversed the pressure there with a squeeze drop. Then over here, you see some drives, and then you're going to see the boast there that Camille tries to force, and I'm guilty of this, and I'm sure you are too. The ball that Hania hits here is not like super tight, but Camille wants to change the pattern of play. And then over there, Camille hits nice width. The girls are back in the rally, and over there, Hania forces a loose cross. And you'll notice over here, she actually tries to hold the ball as well. So watch over here. There's a hold and then flick. Well, she swings through it, but it's loose in the middle of the court, and then Camille's on top of it. And over here, that's good width on the cross. And then Hania tries to do too much. So she's done all the work by hitting that great cross court. Camille's been forced into a loose ball, and the straight drop is the perfect option, and she tries to go for that cross drop, catching the tin. And if you noticed over there, she actually pointed right there. She's pointing to where she knows she should have hit that shot. The next clip, you see Camille's under pressure. Hania goes for this cross-court drop again. And interestingly, those rallies happened one after the other. So she made the exact same mistake 2 points in a row, which is not that common at that level. So that shows the mental lapse. Now over here, you get to watch this epic rally. So these ladies have this awesome rally, hitting deep length, nice and tight and wide, and working each other throughout the court. And then it ends in a slightly unfortunate way. Check it out. But it's a common error that all of us make. See, they're jockeying for position up and down the wall, hitting pretty good length, battling for the tee. That's good width. Another good width. Good use of height. Good use of height again. A nice change of direction. It's a little working boast. And that's a good one on that situation. It's front, back, they're everywhere. Nice height again. That's tight. Forces a loose ball, lets it go, puts the drop in, there's pressure, and then she goes for a volley boast from that position. So look at that. That's such a good tough rally. And there she's in the air. She's reaching, and she tries to hit a volley boast from that position to win the point, which is absolutely not the right shot. You probably want to reset that ball. If you reset it straight, there's a chance that you're going to get a stroke against you, so you probably want to reset that cross. But again, it's super easy to say when you're outside the court watching this slow-mo and everything else, but just from a correct shot, the right shot, it would probably be the cross-court reset. Now in this one, look at that. Yeah, it's not that one. Under pressure, amazing lob. Camille doesn't volley it. That's a great example of turning defense into offense. And there's Camille serves. Hania doesn't volley the serve return, and then she's under pressure. So big thing on not volleying. Now let's come here. Ooh. So what do you guys think was the correct shot there? So you get an opening like this. So Camille plays a pretty loose reverse boast. The best shot may be that straight drop, but Hania goes for the deceptive, I want to win this point outright flick, and she ends up hitting it super high. On a slightly different note, I talked about this in the floating tee position footwork video, and notice Camille's position over here. Right foot back, left foot forward in that sprinter position. So when you're under a lot of pressure, this is the position you want to be in, because it's going to allow you to accelerate forward. And then from there, going back to the shot selection, see Hania goes for the cross drop, and it works in that it gets Camille off a little bit, but it's so high. It's like almost hitting, it's between the tin and the service line. So there's no pressure on Camille. And that's just a loose ball that Camille then plays the tight drop. Hania gets it off, but you just lost an opportunity. So here, Camille's under pressure in this back right corner, and she tries to hit that low boast to get a winner instead of lifting it. I'm very guilty of that. In this situation, this is one that a lot of us are guilty of. Hania has this opportunity, and she just goes and crushes the ball, not thinking as much on accuracy. And by just hitting it really hard, look how much the ball pops up. Camille doesn't even have to take a step off the tee. And then Camille's perfectly set up for a straight kill. Hania can't get it. Now this one is another good long rally where both the ladies are playing patient squash, rallying up and down the wall, playing good balls with attacking, moving the ball up and down the court. And let's see how it ends. So, we got a nice Nice variation in height over here as well. Super tight to the side wall. A little bit loose, working boast. Nice width on the cross. There's a cross flick that was executed more accurately. But then after that long, hard rally, Hania goes, check this out. So Camille's under pressure. She does the right thing by lifting. And look where Hania is. She's running backwards. Momentum is going back. And then she's behind the service box, almost into the back of the court. And she's trying to play the volley drop when the ball's tight to the wall. So that again is an example where maybe she's tired. They're in the third game. This was a long, hard match. Maybe the rally was too long. She just wanted to try to finish it. She lost focus. Many different reasons. I don't know what the right reason is, but that's the outcome. Now over here, you're going to see the cross court being forced under pressure by Camille. Pops up in the middle of the court, and you're having to then do a bunch of work. And I believe this same example, Hania tries to go cross, but then that's the flip side of it. So check this out. So Hania forces a cross when the ball's tight. Camille comes here. She gets a nice loose ball, and she goes for the drop, which is a good shot, but her follow through is very limited. So if you watch, you generally, and this is a technical thing, you generally want to hit through that ball, even when you're playing the drop, so that you can kind of put it onto that front wall. And again, I'm not criticizing her. She didn't expect it to come. She had to turn quickly. She had to adjust and get in position, but she didn't really follow through on that, which would be kind of the technical reason why that ball went into the tin. Now over here, seeing some rallying up and down the wall. Nice cross, forces a loose ball. And now Camille goes for the cross drop when it should have been straight. And she knew it. She was smiling right after she hit that shot. It's forced the loose ball, continues to put more pressure. Another loose ball, more pressure into the back. Camille forces a boast. And that too, it was a low boast. If you're in that defensive position, you want to hit that ball higher to give yourself time to recover to the tee. Now over here, it's a bit of a loose lob. Camille applies good pressure there. Nice choice lifting by Hania. More pressure on the drive. Good choice lifting. Camille's really jumping on the tee. Nice change of pace and direction by Camille as well. It's a high boast, again forcing it and getting squeezed and losing the point. So, lots of highlights. I created a long list of that kind of summarizes the errors we talked about really quickly. Forcing the cross court when the ball is behind us, it requires a lot of wrist. If you don't have that strong wrist, you're not used to doing that, chances are you're going to hit the ball that's in the middle of the court. Top players will do that, and they do it accurately quite often, but you have to build that skill. Forcing the boast, number 2, forcing a boast when you're under pressure or in the back. Yeah, if you're under pressure, you need to play the boast sometimes to relieve that pressure, but you don't want to play it low and fast and hard. It needs to be lifted, so open racket face, kind of hitting up. Honestly, it puts reverse pressure on your opponent sometimes because the ball comes back towards the middle of the tee, and then your opponent is in this position where it's such an easy ball, kind of like we saw Camille, that you get flustered and you don't know what shot to execute. So try the high boast, give yourself time to get to the tee and fluster your opponent. Number 3, you try to hit low and hard, and you try to attack when you're not quite there. And this goes back to that low fast boast again that we saw. Number 4, going for a low percentage winner at the end of a hard rally. So you saw Hania do that where she leapt up and tried to play a volley boast, or when she was moving backwards in the back of the court and tried to play a volley drop. So those are times when you want to reset the rally, ideally, but there are obviously a lot of factors that are going on at the same time. Number 5, avoiding the obvious simple shot and going for something that's, in our minds, going to be a winner. And we saw that from both Camille and Hania, where they had opportunities on the volleys right on the tee, and they went for the cross drops into the tin, or on the floor and they went for the cross drop, and it was either high or in the tin. So oftentimes just executing those fundamentals of that you've grooved, which would be that straight drop, just put that in. The opponent may know where it's going, but if it's glued to the side wall or hitting the nick, you can't do anything with it. Number 6, this is a simple one, but most players make this mistake. Don't volley the serve. we let the serve drop, it goes into the back corner, and then we're either forcing a boast or forcing a weak straight ball, and then we're automatically under pressure. The opponent has the tee, they can take all the space that they want, and we have to get out of the way, and then we're working, and we're basically under their control for the rest of the rally. Number 7, overpowering the ball and sacrificing accuracy. We only saw this in one clip from Hania, but a lot of amateurs do this all the time. So we crush the ball, and it really does nothing, because if we crush it and it's too wide, it's just going to pop up in the middle of the court after it hits the side wall. If we crush it and it comes to the back, it's going to bounce off the back wall or floor back wall, and then it actually comes closer to the tee. Or sometimes if you hit it really hard and not low enough, then it's just going to fly off the black glass. And when it flies off the back glass or bounces off the back glass, you then have to get out of the way, and your opponent can basically get closer to the tee right after they hit the shot and kind of box you out a little bit. So again, sacrificing accuracy for power is not recommended. And then the 8th thing was the lack of follow through. So a lot of times when we're playing shots into the front of the court and we think, okay, we want to hit a really delicate, fine shot, we end up stopping our swing, we end up tapping the ball. By doing that, that actually either fluffs the ball up, it becomes soft. If we kind of have an open face and we tap it, it'll float to the front. Sometimes that can be really accurate, but more often than not, it kind of just pops up. And then the other thing that happens is that you don't have any kind of purpose when you're hitting the shot. So if you're going to take that ball in short into the front of the court, really try to come through that ball, kind of hit it with purpose, hit it with direction, and then direct your racket face in the direction of your target, end that racket face in that direction. And generally speaking, when you're hitting those drops, you want to keep it a little bit open. So if I'm hitting a forehand, I'm going to hit it kind of open, and I'm going to follow through in the direction of my shot. So here's your homework. Number 1, I encourage you to reflect upon your own game and think about what your most common errors are, either from the list that I just shared or based on your own self-awareness and reflection. And I would encourage you to choose one of the most important or most limiting errors, the errors that limit you from winning. Think about what that error is. Maybe it's that you overhit the ball and it ends up being loose and you just tire yourself out. Maybe it's that when you're under pressure in the back corners, you try to hit a low fast boast to win points and you always hit the tin. Maybe it's that you're not volleying the serve. Think about what your most common error is, and then during your next session, write out a little intention in a journal, in a notebook, whatever you have, and then go into your session with the purpose of only focusing on that one thing. Play everything else the way you normally do, but make sure that you are very consciously focused on that one thing, and you're going to see rapid progress. And then number 3, I encourage you to share what you think your error is in the comments, and then also follow it up if you remember. I'd love to hear from you about how that session went when you consciously focused on that one error. Did you win more points? Did you find yourself getting into rallies more than maybe you used to before? Just reflect upon all of that, and I truly believe that your game's going to improve significantly. Now, the last thing before we wrap this video up is I wanted to show you, I didn't talk about it at the intro, but check this out. Every time the players made a mistake, they were just like, oh my God, what did I just do? What did I do? How did I mess that up? You know, so Camille over here, this was after she hit the drop into the tin, I think. The super easy one. Hania over here went cross on the volley drop, but she's pointing to the front right because it should have been a straight drop instead of a cross drop. When she played another horrendous shot, in her own opinion, she's like, what the heck am I doing? Camille smiling in this one. In these two, Camille's like, yikes, or oh my God, like, come on, figure this out. Over here in the right one, Hania's kind of doing the same. She's kind of holding her face, just like, what the heck is happening? So you see that no one is immune to these things. Everyone makes mistakes. It's about how we process that mistake, what we do to correct it after the fact, but most importantly, at this level, what they do to correct it in the moment. And this is where the grounding anchor and mindfulness and going back to your game plan, using your affirmations, that's where all of those things come into play. Obviously, if you don't have the correct technique already refined, the mindfulness and all of that stuff isn't going to help. If you don't have adequate fitness and you're gassed, you're not going to be able to play the right shot and sustain the rally because you can't move. So there are some fundamentals that you need, and then you need the mental side of it as well in order to really complement everything and create the full package. So folks, if you like this video, please give it the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Do your homework. I'd love to see and hear from you in a comment, and I look forward to chatting in our next video.